Hi there. Welcome to Apple World in any case. I said that on the grounds that is the manner in which I feel. I've never met so many defeatists and people of color on stage. Also, do you understand what God did? He gave it right back. He said this: I gave you all that you wanted to manage these moms. I'm with Steve Harvey. I could care less what you think about me. Steve Harvey is having an unpleasant year between getting embarrassed by his significant other, Marjorie, over ongoing swindling bits of hearsay and getting presented for attempting to take jobs from the late, incredible Bernie McIntosh. Steve is currently likewise getting hauled by Monique for being a defeatist and a snake. Monique's fight with Steve returns years later, and everything began after Monique guaranteed she was torpedoed by Steve's amigos Oprah and Tyler Perry. Monique then blamed Steve for having no respectability and declining to help her. Furthermore, as of late, new subtleties have emerged about how contemptible Steve was towards Monique. Concerning fans, they're saying Steve has forever been a snake, and many accept that all that is occurring to him right now is only his karma. However, what precisely did Monique say about Steve being a snake? Did Steve truly offer his spirit to Hollywood? How about we get into it? Also, the trouble came in when individuals that appeared as though I were Oprah, Tyler, Lee Daniels, and I got to put my sibling Steve on the rundown. You all realized I was dead on. Every last one of you told me, Monique, that you're dead on. So you've most likely seen at this point that Steve Harvey and his family have been moving recently over tales that Steve's better half, Marjorie, went behind his back with his protector. And keeping in mind that Steve and Marjorie have denied the bits of gossip, this present circumstance has reignited the discussion over Steve's personality. So what happened is that Steve apparently attempted to divert individuals from discussing Marjorie's reputed undertaking by posting a video on Twitter requesting that his devotees name a jokester they don't find interesting by any means. Nonetheless, when fans got down on him and said he was acting extremely obscure for somebody who asserts his image is about inspiration, Steve erased the video and posted another, guaranteeing that his employer shared it without his consent. Someone works for me on Twitter put out a proclamation that was thoroughly negative. I got to assume a sense of ownership with it since they work for me. However, the commitment was to discuss naming a jokester you don't believe is interesting. How could I follow through with something like that? They don't, for even a moment, have rhyme or reason. My entire image is to be persuasive. Yet Steve's expression of remorse video didn't help him by any means, and it just got individuals talking significantly more about Steve being obscure and two-timing. It's just plain obvious, Steve has been blamed for blaming everything on a large number of his partners, including Monique, who has of late uncovered that she actually hasn't pardoned Steve over the manner in which he treated her when she was boycotted by Hollywood. Monique's quarrel with Steve extends back years, and everything began after Monique openly charged Steve's companions, Oprah and Tyler Perry, of debasing her. The show began following the arrival of the film Valuable, coordinated by Lee Daniels and delivered by Oprah and Perry. Monique had created a ton of buzz with her presentation. So Oprah and Tyler Perry requested that she go on a press visit and advance the film all over the planet. Notwithstanding, they would have rather not repaid her for this. So Monique turned down the proposition and made sense that she'd prefer to invest energy with her significant other and kids prior to buckling down on Valuable. Also, as indicated by Monique, when she expressed no to Oprah and Tyler Perry, titles abruptly sprung up, guaranteeing she's troublesome and difficult to work with. What's more, all of a sudden, Monique lost numerous jobs that had been proposed to her after the arrival of Valuable, and she understood that nobody in Hollywood needed to recruit her. In the interim, Oprah accomplished something much shadier and welcomed Monique's sibling, Gerald, to her television show to discuss how he attempted to kill Monique. Some might believe that you're just doing this to get into the good graces of your sister now that she has a foundation grant. Now that I'm doing this to apologize to my sister and hopefully bring back some family solidarity with respect to their relationship now, Monique has, as of late, let Barbara Walters know there is none. Did your sibling at any point apologize to you? The expression of remorse that I got from my sibling is assuming you figure I accomplished something wrong. Then I'm grieving. And keeping in mind that Oprah called Monique to tell her Gerald would be her visitor, she never told her she had additionally welcomed Monique's folks. I imparted to her that I and my mom were not talking. I imparted to her that we were in a downright terrible spot. I informed her that I had been harmed. What's more, attempting to sort this thing out, she never said my mom was coming on that show. In light of the fact that had Oprah Winfrey said, "I will have your mom," I would have said, "Shut it down." So besides the fact that Monique boycotted because she was expressing no to Oprah, she additionally needed to watch Oprah exploit her injury for evaluations. What made the entire circumstance significantly more challenging for Monique was that her supposed companions and partners betrayed her. Also, it seemed like every one of them was terrified to say they concurred with her. One of them was Steve Harvey, who betrayed Monique and asserted it was her own issue. She was boycotted, at the point when Steve later welcomed Monique to his show to dispel any confusion. Monique made sense of the fact that she was frustrated on the grounds that Steve told her in private that he concurred with her. Notwithstanding, he was too frightened to freely uphold her. I was marked as troublesome. My significant other and my better half is Sydney, who is my supervisor. We got named troublesome in light of the fact that I said a single word, and that was no. Presently, I have said no to a few exceptionally influential individuals. I said no to Oprah Winfrey. I said no to Tyler Perry. I said no to Lee Daniels. What's more, I said no to Lionsgate. What's more, the trouble came when individuals acted as though I were Oprah. Tyler, Lee Daniels, and I gotta put my sibling Steve on the rundown. You all realized I was basically dead on. Every last one of you shared with me, Monique, that you're basically on the right track. Obviously, after Steve told Monique she was correct about facing Oprah and Tyler Perry, he went on air and impacted Monique, saying she severed such a large number of ties and there was nothing he could accomplish for her. Monique obviously felt sold out in light of the fact that it was a particularly obscure continuation on Steve's part to carry on like he upheld her in private and afterward embarrass her before the world. In any case, when Monique confronted Steve about this, he backtracked and asserted he was simply attempting to say she went the incorrect way about it, voicing her dissatisfaction with the business. Monique, notwithstanding, persevered and told Steve he ought to have told her, assuming that he had this impression in private as opposed to blaming everything on her openly. What I would have appreciated from my sibling was if you had gotten the telephone before you went on the air and said, "Monique, you've severed an excessive number of ties and there's no other option for me." Obviously, I would have appreciated it had my sibling hit me up and said, "Child, how about we talk?" Since you doing that was a piece of me being troublesome, Monique likewise scrutinized Steve for being a sellout. Also, although she didn't utilize those words precisely, it was entirely clear what she implied. Furthermore, at the point at which you permit individuals to begin taking your opportunity and your gift and causing it to become what makes them agreeable, we then, at the point when you called me with the morning show on the telephone, I told you, Steve, that my family is experiencing this, and you all realize I did nothing out of sorts. You all realize my significant other did nothing out of the ordinary. Yet none of you have progressively was sufficient. To go openly and say, we can't blame everything on our sister, in any case, Steve clearly couldn't comprehend. What Monique was referring to was a guideline. Furthermore, he asserted that everything really revolves around cash since, supposing that you need to find actual success, you need to play the cash game and watch what you say around specific individuals. We shut down here. We can't get around here and we would like to. Pay attention to me. Your significant other can't be the Sydney that he truly is over here. Allow me to let you know that I'm flexing. We've got to flex an alternate way. We're over here in a game called the cash game. This ain't the person of color's down. This ain't the white man's down. This is the cash game. In any case, Monique said that she's not prepared to lose her honesty for cash, which is something Steve plainly never disliked, in light of the fact that Monique isn't the main individual he supposedly blamed for getting a stride ahead. It's just plain obvious. Well before this entire show with Monique and Oprah went down, Steve had an exceptionally exposed quarrel with the late parody legend Bernie McIntosh. So Monique got down on Steve for having no trustworthiness. Many fans said that Bernie McIntosh would have had her back 100% since he's always been genuine. Bernie and Steve would have had insane contention, one fan said. Or, on the other hand, perhaps Steve wouldn't be like that assuming Bernie was alive. It's obvious for a really long time. Bits of gossip have been circling that back during the hour of the First Lords of Parody visit. Steve and Bernie frequently clashed. Also, in 2003, Bernie told GQ that Steve was desirous of him and attempted to take various film jobs from him, including Seas 11. Steve apparently had somebody from his group call the Seas 11 chief, Steven Soderbergh, and push for Steve to get that part over Bernie. That is when Bernie understood that Steve was ready to successfully excel, regardless of whether it implied stepping on individuals he asserted were his family. Steve, in any case, denied attempting to attack Bernie and asserted he was wounded by Bernie's remarks to GQ. However, after reports as of late that Monique actually hasn't gotten a conciliatory sentiment from anybody other than Lee Daniels, fans are by and by lauding Monique for having uprightness while putting Steve on impact for being a snake and a sellout.